with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Let's go!
Welcome to the summer schedule, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and don't forget about Fridays if you're a VIP because we have those coming out. And by the way, sorry, when do we have? Wednesdays. Don't forget about Wednesdays because I did.
Don't forget about Friday.
I wouldn't want you to forget about them.
Friday is 1/7 of your life when you think about it.
Of your week.
No, of your life.
Oh, like your whole.
Oh, your life.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Weeks.
I guess it is. Man,
No.
deep shit here in the second week of July. It's going to be like this all the way through July, and then August obviously is vacation month, and then we are back and 3 episodes a week starting first week of September. First day of school, we'll be in here.
Out the damn gate.
That's right. Now
we're going to be talking about. Oh, this 15th forward might make your roster for a few games.
I can't
What
wait.
do your kids do now that there's no school?
Make so much noise.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
So, just
Is your house, like, infinitely more chaotic now that there isn't school?
yeah, like a lot.
Because your wife is a teacher.
Do you have them at
and-
home?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
no. But when they come home,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
'Cause
All
your
right.
wife's a teacher, so now she's home.
Yeah.
And then your son would have been in school, so now he's home more often.
and Jesse, he has so much to say at such a high volume all of the time.
Where do you think he gets that trait from?
I don't know, Adam, but yeah, you ever see that meme? It's like my wife and I are trying to have a conversation, and it's this bald British guy.
Yeah.
I didn't know
that's just him.
Leo was a yeller.
He's just a he's got a voice modulation problem, Jesse. And a little bit softer now. And a little but he's very smart. So every night, our new thing, like, so it used to be, tell me about mosquitoes. And then it was, tell me about volcanoes. And now it's, tell me about space. And he just asks questions about space.
Well, I'm glad he's not asking about birds because then he would truly be lost.
That's coming.
No.
He can already identify
No,
several.
I'm going to save him from that.
He can identify the red-winged blackbird.
Uncle Adam and Uncle Jesse are getting in.
He
and
knows
we
what
are
a robin
saving him
is.
from being boring.
With those questions about, like, space and stuff, I always worry about the parents because, like, you're not actively in school learning that stuff. So you're just regurgitating knowledge that you had, like 30 years ago?
No, in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero and all that. No, in this house, Pluto is a planet.
Yeah.
I don't care what the current literature
None of it's
is.
not a province or territory or whatever.
No, that one can stay.
That one can stay.
But-
Yeah, we like them.
Yeah, okay.
Pluto-
So we're working past 1999.
I think you have to remember, Jesse, that not everything you tell your children is or needs to be factually correct. Like, think about our parents. Would be like, you know what, on Halloween, the whole thing was if you don't wear a coat over your Halloween costume, which is what my mom made me do every year, because Halloween used to be cold in Canada. It's no longer thanks to global warming, which doesn't exist.
And liberals.
What's that?
And liberals.
And liberals, and their EV mandates. I would say that, the argument was, well, you'll catch a cold, you'll get sick. And then I got old enough, and I was told in biology class in grade 11, I kid you not, my biology teacher, Miss Sharif, who was amazing, she said, you can't catch a cold from being cold. It's germs. I was like, why didn't that occur to me before this moment? Moron idiot.
Being cold doesn't catch you a cold.
Doesn't catch you a cold. So these are things that, like, your parent. And listen, I lie to my kid too, right? So, like, there was a point at which if I was gonna hear the Wiggles one more time, I would have had to, like, lock myself in a basement and
Simon,
in a dark room.
Count your friggin' days.
Simon says. It's like, shut up, Simon.
Simon says, I wish he wasn't the most jacked Wiggle.
Yeah, I know.
There's now a more jacked Wiggle, but for a long time he was the most jacked Wiggle, so I can't even have kicking his ass
So
fantasies.
I, Jesse, would say that the Wiggles are on vacation this week, things like that.
So never really would be like, that sucks.
Oh, that's too bad. Or they're not on right now.
Right.
Even though we had Netflix. And
Is
they were on all the
Everly
time.
just around yelling just like Leo?
Nah, you know what? She's pretty chill. Like, she comes out of school and she's just fired up. So, like, when I park the car and I go and get her, and they're usually outside at the end of the day when I go get her from the school daycare.
Summer school.
Yeah, well, I guess it is summer school, except that they do all this cool shit. Like, they're constantly at the park and, like, splash pads, and they go to movies, and they do
That's
really.
what literally is like summer school.
It's the best. It's the
camp
best.
thing.
Well, summer camp.
Summer camp, yeah.
She sees my car, and then she just screams, "Daddy!" until I kind of walk up to the fenced-in area, the cattle pen that they keep them in.
That's how I
Keep them
react when I
contained.
see you.
and then she gets home, and once she's kind of calmed down, it's like the energy falls off a cliff. She eats food, it falls off a cliff even further, and by 7 o'clock, she is out.
Oh, Jesse, you have
7 p.m.
You just don't know the swings. There's no gradual drop in energy.
Oh no, it's sudden.
It's
and then
a sleep or a jerk.
And they're either Oh, they can be such a-holes when they're tired. And then you tell them, "Hey, I think you're tired." And they're like, "No!" And then they get the goth makeup on and they're really in their feelings about it. And it's just crazy. Anyway, listen, I'm telling you, so once the kids hit like 3-4 years old, the happiness level goes right back up again for adults. It's that 0 to 3 range that it's really tricky. Really tricky. You have your moments, sleep regressions and things like that. Ugh. Now,
I choose to believe sleep regression doesn't exist.
It's
one of those things. If you just pretend it doesn't exist, it doesn't.
That's right. Now, this weekend, I made my family sit down and watch Mitch Marner and Era Wasted.
I can't believe you did that.
Well, they were all really interested because obviously they follow the Leafs, especially like they were always big Leaf fans, but especially now, their proximity to me, they're watching every game. And, so they're invested. And the reactions for it have been pretty amazing. I have seen some people go like, "Steve, you finally got what you want. He left, whatever." And what I thought, those are clearly from people that did not watch the video.
Didn't watch it. Listen, the critics have followed a theme.
Which is?
They very obviously didn't watch it, or they had something to say about my gray beard and puffy face.
Well, I mean, whatever.
Okay. I'm fat and old, but am I wrong?
I think it was. I think it was very, very interesting to kind of see how all that played out over the weekend. Mostly because there wasn't much going on in hockey. It was the 4th of July weekend. And CJ even said yesterday on the show, like, not a lot of business gets done. People kind of actually do take that time off and sort of try to, see their families for once a year.
It's crazy how, like, free agency happens July 1st. Everything gets signed because nobody talked before that date. And magically, they're all signed at 12:01. And then July 2nd
No,
happens.
101, Jesse. They need 60 minutes.
Yes, to finalize the contracts and such. And then, like, July 2nd happens. Some things trickle in. And then July 3rd happens. Everybody's golfing at their cottage.
Yes.
The hockey people are just done. All of the insiders tweet out, "Hey, thanks for a great season, people. It's July 3rd. I'm gone."
Yep.
I'm
shocked every year.
The most annoying thing of working in sports is that it's more of an off-season conversation. It's reach back out to me in the off-season. July 5th. Well, it's the off-season.
They're not there. I can't reach you. You're in somewhere else.
You can't. They string you along all of July, August. They don't answer their phone. They might have changed their number. I don't know.
Yeah, no. There's no cell service in Muskoka.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm glad you're having vacation. I want to move out of my parents' house. Anyway, don't have to do that anymore.
Long story short, it was a video that's probably already among your top 20 most watched all time.
Good question. I can actually find that out for you right now.
Well, we don't need the exact number.
No, yes, you do.
I think it's roughly 250,000 people have watched it so far.
236,000.
There you go. I said roughly 250,000.
A little shy.
I guess my question about it, as it pertains to the show and us being like a news cycle show, is how long did it take to make? And what parts what parts did you struggle with?
Well, the parts I called you about.
Yeah.
How long did it take to make? I started to put together a timeline, and I reached out to a bunch of people in the sports, and agents and some executives, and like also just like people who I know are just Leaf sickos. And I was like, okay, like what are what insiders are not going to remember? Like CJ has no eye for this sort of thing. Well,
he's down to his last show of the season, so you can insult him. He won't hear it.
Well, like ridiculously chronically online moments.
Oh yeah, CJ doesn't have time for that.
Like memes that came up and, hey, do you remember this post that got deleted or whatever? And like, this isn't even pertaining to Marner, but like just things that they happened a few years ago. It was the biggest thing in the world for 24 hours and it went away, but it's worth remembering. stuff like that. And I mean, Marner was a Leaf for 9 years, right? And what I wanted to get out of the way right away, and it was a great way of detecting who did or didn't watch the freaking video, was saying, this video is not going to be about Marner sucks. That's you can't waste an era with a player who stinks. There's a reason Justin Hall and era wasted is not a video. You know what I mean? He was a 4th overall pick, a ridiculous talent. There are years where he might have gone 1st overall, ended up going 4th, hometown kid. And what it helped me remember was how joyous and full of hope the first few years were. It made me sad.
Well, ultimately, that is what the video is. It's an era waste. It's a tragedy that this happened.
Well, like by the end of it, I want the viewer to be
whatever, fat face, graveyard.
I want the viewer to be like, well, it is an era wasted, right? Like, yeah, 2017. Like, I was playing hockey with a guy who, it's funny, we kept doing drills, and then he would skate back to me and resume the conversation.
Oh, okay.
And he was just like, I went to games. I think he went to a game in Washington and a game in Toronto during that 2017 series. And he's like, if you went back in time and told that guy that this is how it all ends, I wouldn't believe you. We all thought they were going to win the cup.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I was at that playoff game where Mitch Marner blocked that Boston shot at the buzzer.
2019 Game 3.
I was there.
Yep.
I was sitting lower bowl.
Yep.
And it was amazing.
Had a great view of it. And boy, after that, it's slim pickings, man. It's slim pickings for him as an individual. And so much what I wanted to get across, and I sort of talked to you about this, Adam, was like, I don't have a beef with this person personally. What I hate is what some people in his camp, namely his agent, did during the 2019 negotiations. Completely stripped him of like his whatever you want to call it, plot armor or baby fat,
or the love affair the city had with him.
People started not to like the kid because like one thing you've always talked about is, and I know a lot of other hockey markets are going to roll their eyes at this. Toronto likes a blue collar team, they do, and this team, they struggled to resonate with them. They didn't see themselves in the team, right? They didn't bust their ass. They didn't play a hard-nosed style. They weren't the 93 Leafs or the 99 Leafs or the 2002 Leafs. Like, those were
hard-nosed,
all hard-nosed kind of underdog teams, right? And, one of the best battles of Ontario is when the Leafs were 7 seed, the Sens were 2, and the Leafs beat them anyway. We love that shit. But I really wanted to go to because one of the things we talked about recently is like, if you're 20 and Mitch Marner's been your favorite player since you were 11, you might have missed some stuff because that's literally your childhood idol, right? So I wanted to go back. Okay, here's some stuff that happened when you were a kid that I wouldn't expect you to remember. There's stuff I'm told about the Leafs all the time from like the 90s. I'm like, that really? Oh, I thought that was common knowledge. I thought you knew that. No, I was a child, and sometimes and
also, weirdly enough, you had a life outside of hockey.
Yeah, and like, if you don't know what to look for, how do you find it?
Yep.
Right? So there was this, like, here's... His camp picked apart the ELC negotiation, his entry-level contract. Okay, so what was that like? And what were the circumstances around it? What were some of the things his family said in the media? And I know some people don't like when you bring up a player's family, but like when they say it publicly...
Well, they gave interviews, so I think that's...
Yeah. Right?
I think that it becomes fair.
That's absolutely fair game. And then here's what his goofball agent said. Idiot goofball agent and that nightmarish 2019 negotiation. And yeah, the world stopped. It did. And that made the cap flat. But the comparison for that Marner contract was always going to be Mikko Rantanen. What a nightmare. Like, what a complete nightmare. Like, the cap hits were not close to the same, and the playoff performance wasn't close to the same. So that was, sort of what I wanted to get across. And then, the 2022 or 2023, whatever it was, the interaction I had with Marner, there was a run-in. I don't need to get into specifics with someone in his camp, and it left a really bad taste in my mouth. And when I met him for an interview that I did with Sportsnet, I didn't get like too into the weeds in the video, but like he walks in the room, he goes, Steve, and I go, Mitch, and like it's frosty. Like I'm not making it up in my head. Like he knew about it and was not stoked. And I'm sure for a guy who desperately at every turn takes every opportunity to publicly say he's blocking out the noise, he is surrounded by people who just put megaphones and flamethrowers in his face going, this guy said this and that. You guys are idiots. You're hurting this kid. You're hurting this grown man now. Stupid people. So anyway, he knew about that, and it was frosty. And then he sits down and he plays ball. We had a good interview. It was great. Smiled for the camera, took a picture, and then he leaves. And I left the arena that day going, what a pro, what a professional. It was so great that he did that.
Well, and the run-in wasn't with him. It was somebody in his camp.
No, it wasn't. Now, what the camp does is it doesn't shield him from the outside world. They do a really terrible job of bringing the outside world to Mitch. But what it does is it muddies the water, and you don't know what he wants done or what he thinks at any given time. It could be his goofball security guy, or it could be his goofball agent, or anyone else. And you don't know what he agrees with or what he's vaguely aware of or not aware of at all. And it muddies the waters. And so he still has this aura of poor Mitch at the end of all of this. And, one of the comments that would drive me nuts is it's a 49-minute video. And the Toronto media drove him away. And I'm like, if that is what you came to the conclusion of at the end of that, what I thought was a very nuanced and fair video, you either didn't watch it or you're kind of a dumb person. And I can't help you. I can't hold your hand. I can't make you, not read your text while you're watching this video. I can't help you. And that's okay. It's not my responsibility to help you. I made the content. It's up there. You do what you want with it. And I think most people appreciated it as a fair and balanced thing.
Well, I think the ultimate thing, Jesse, and I feel like you would probably agree with this too, is that it's a tragedy that it had to come to this.
Yes.
And now we move on. But Jesse said something really good. I can't remember if it was last episode or the episode before or whatever. And you were just like, I'm excited for just not to talk about this. Frege mentioned it on 32 Thoughts, saying there was a player that texted him after the trade deadline saying, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
And
what was that? So I saw that quote. And was it a salacious rumor, or was it just accurately reporting what happened?
Well, I think in this case, it was just more like, is he ever going to get traded because he's clearly not staying?
Oh, well.
That's what I think the
in
context
that case,
was.
Yes. Well, what I thought the context was is, why are we still talking about this? Since accurately reporting something that we now know
that wasn't the
definitely
context.
almost happened.
Was not the context.
Okay, good.
No. Jess, what are your thoughts on video and being able to, as somebody who does this for a living, move on to a Leafs team post this era?
First thing for Steve, on your wall there, Maddie, if you want to bring it up, that's your Leafs wall, right?
Yes.
Where's Mitch?
So if you pause it, oh dear. Okay, so above on the right side of the screen, you see the red jersey?
Yeah, I'll put in the mouse.
Yeah, there you go. So that's Lanny McDonald.
Yeah.
Right above him is me and Mitch.
This one.
Yes.
Oh, who's going there, and when's that coming down?
I have a Carlton the Bear figure that I'm thinking about putting there.
I like that.
And the only other Leaf, I have 2 other Leafs that are not on the Leaf wall. Jonathan Bernier will be too big to fit. So it might be Joffrey Lupul.
I thought it had to be people on the team.
No, like currently on the team.
I thought that's what I
Lanny's
thought.
not.
I thought they were like retired greats, like Sundin and all that. But like, I thought you reserved spots for like people who are playing for the Leafs. I thought that's why Mitch was coming down.
Oh, I took him down just like to be silly. Like,
so then
he's traded now.
So then
I could just leave it.
You can leave it.
Yeah,
if it's not like current Leafs or anything.
I could just leave it.
What if it's?
I didn't know that.
What if it's Matthias Michelli?
Then I would
I don't know if he's
McFarlane toy. Oh,
I don't know if he's getting a McFarlane toy.
you ever had finished pizza? If Matthias Michelli gets a McFarlane figure, I'm putting him up there.
So you got guys up there who are like on other teams actively?
Let's go through them. Let's see.
I don't know if we want to go through.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Kiss my ass. No, I'm kidding. Who is an active? Luke Shen.
Yeah.
And JVR. JVR just signed with who? JVR signed with?
Columbus again?
I don't remember.
Where's he going? I don't know.
Yeah,
Not Columbus.
JVR, I guess, and Luke Shen would be the only ones that I can think of.
Those are the only 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fair. It's weird. If you still had Kadri up there.
He never got one.
He never got
one.
He must have a Flames one.
Nope.
At this.
Wow.
Never got one. Or I'd have it.
What?
Never got one.
What can we put in a request to McFarlane?
We friggin' should.
That's weird.
That is weird.
He led them in scoring last year, career high 35 goals. Like,
Exactly.
honest to goodness, he should get one.
I would say he's a top 50 most popular players in the league.
Oh yeah.
Like-
Just in Toronto alone.
I mean,
Toronto
he's up
almost-
there.
Yeah.
He's definitely
in terms of just name notoriety.
leading scorer of a Canadian team. And
Played in Toronto, won a Stanley Cup with Colorado.
Had a 100-point season when
he
he did.
he
Like-
should have one.
That's weird.
He should have one.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like, I don't know if Jonathan Huberdeau has one. Like, he'd be a good candidate too.
Hubert a must.
I don't know. I don't think he does.
We gotta email McFarlane Toys.
I should make a list of guys who have never gotten one who need to have one. 100% need to have one.
Jonathan Huberdeau.
I don't think he ever got
It
one.
looks like he has some stuff from the Panthers days,
See,
but that's not the new McFarlane
you have
toy.
to get it in the box because if you see it outside of the box, that might be someone who custom painted one.
I'm saying no. Nothing comes up when I look
Because
for him.
there's one I almost bought. Joseph Wall doesn't have one, but there's a store near my house that has a custom painted Joseph Wall.
Oh, they just made one? Yeah.
And
That
I
was like a
will want it.
goalie. No, I feel like that doesn't count.
It doesn't, but I want it. Like Felix Potvin never got one, but on that screen, there's a custom one
Oh, okay.
that I got done.
Oh, that's
Potvin got one of the really old, like 1994, like NHLPA ones.
dolls. Yeah.
Yeah, how dare you? But he never got a McFarlane.
Okay.
I feel like for next season, it would be odd to have Mitch up there.
Really?
Yeah. I think Mitch should be replaced for that.
Yeah, for
He's
sure.
actively on Vegas and how everything ended. I think it'd be weird to have him up there.
I'll get a Nikolaj Wall one.
Yeah.
I don't know if that I don't know if that exists either.
Is McFarlane making a new series for next year?
I don't know that much.
Jesse's not at their factory.
I
don't think he knows.
I don't work for McFarlane Toys.
Why are you asking us?
I don't
know.
You would be the one who would know that.
I should know that. Well, I don't have any of the new ones because we got a bunch and we gave them away as prizes.
I know. I'm sorry.
I asked you if you wanted me to put any aside for you. I did call you before.
Yes.
We allocated all of them for prizes.
But I'm a great, as established in the 49-minute Mitch Marner video, I'm a great guy.
Was it McDavid, the Four Nations one specifically? I was like, do you want this one? This one's pretty special.
Oh, I thought about it.
Yeah.
I should.
The McDavid Four Nations one's a really cool toy.
I've still never met him.
You've never met Connor McDavid?
Never met Connor McDavid. I was in a scrum with him twice,
Okay.
but never met him.
Never like shook his hand.
Never shook his hand.
Yeah.
I took a photo of him and his dad after his last OHL game. That was
Those Henderson days, with Sportsnet. Those are over.
Get out to the Silver Knights practice facility and you do a bunch of interviews. You never got McDavid.
No, that's the David Amber assignments. They did not give that assignment to Steve Dangle.
Got it.
I was going to say, did they send Draisaitl instead? Because that'd be odd, but I guess.
I didn't get Leon either.
No.
You got Bergeron, though.
I got, by accident.
Oh, okay.
I got clever. The Bruins staff and Bergeron walked onto my set, which was actually the coach's corner set.
Oh.
Because it wasn't getting used. They're like, you can use this. I'm like, this is the coach's corner set. Anyway, he's like, am I supposed to be here? And I went, yes. And I lied to Patrice Bergeron.
Good for you. Good for you. Lied to the most honest, respectful human being in the game.
And
Good
he
for
gave
you.
me a great video.
That's excellent. All right, so moving on to some of the news around the league, and obviously we'll start here with the Leafs. 11 players filed for salary arbitration. I know, guys, this is the most exciting part of the summer. Salary arb! One of them is Nick Robertson. Lucas Dostal from the Ducks is another name that kind of stands out.
That's a very big one.
Capo Caco from the Kraken. Connor Timmins, who is now with the Buffalo Sabres.
I
didn't realize that. And Gabe Vilardi from the Winnipeg Jets. A few other people are on there, but, I'm not going to go through all 11. It's not that exciting.
There's a few names where I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that's actually an interesting conversation. I'm like, Connor Timmins?
Yeah.
What does he want?
Well, I think what he wants is just give me Bo Byram's spot when you finally trade him.
Well, I think here's why every salary arbitration I think is actually very interesting this year for a change. Is all the contracts are going so screwy and stupid. I would love to know what Connor Timmins thinks his comparable is.
Well, that's interesting. I think the Leafs would agree with you because that's the reason they didn't qualify Pontus Holmberg is they were worried that Arb was going to go crazy this year and they didn't want to be stuck in an arbitration situation with him. 1.55 a year with the Lightning.
He had like 7 goals. Like, he was a fine player. Sure.
Berube seemed to like him.
Yeah, he was fine. But, like, I don't know.
Were you expecting anything to happen when he was on the ice?
No. Good and bad.
And people are, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, compliment and derogatory.
This is where I go, okay, so people are upset about Calle Jarnkrok because of his lack of playoff production, and I get that. But I look at this and I go, okay, Holmberg for 1.55 or Jarnkrok for another year at 2.1, and if he's healthy and has a full training camp, it's likely he gets you 15 to 20 goals.
Jarnkrok as a UFA gets his current contract today. Like he'd get another 2.1 4 years.
I think he'd get.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, 100%. I think he'd get more than that. To be honest.
He honestly might.
Like Jeannot got 3.4 million.
Yeah, maybe not after last season, but like, I don't know. Like there was I think it was Hockey Illuminati, who I love, did like worst free agent signings of Leafs history, and Jarnkrok was on there. I'm like, come on,
that's crap.
That's
crap.
In the playoffs, yeah, he's been useless. I understand. Maybe not useless, but he doesn't freaking score. In the regular season, he does.
So, I wonder for a guy like Arvid Soderblom for the Blackhawks, you could be like, hey, listen, I might not be great, but I do beat the Leafs every time. So is that
playing the role of Alexander Georgiev is Arvid Soderblom.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird.
CJ says it's likely that the Leafs, and this is on yesterday's CJ show, man, they've been on a heater lately. So good. It's sad that their season is ending because I just want it to keep going. But CJ says that the Leafs probably aren't able to get much done this summer. Maybe a couple of smaller moves. I think Roslovic's name has come up. And that, I think Friedge alluded to the fact that maybe the Leafs wanted Mangiapane, wanted Roslovic, wanted them both to wait so they could potentially move on from either Kampf or Jarnkrok. Some people have floated Domi. I don't believe that.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
I think CJ makes a point when he says they don't have anything to trade. And outside of the Pittsburgh Penguins, nobody really has much to give. So I look at this, and one of the things I've been critical of, and I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this one. I've been really critical of the Leafs, especially lately in hindsight, about their lack of patience going into a season. Now, part of it is they had 50-something% locked up into 4 players. They had to fill out the roster, but they would always go into camp with every dollar spent and every roster spot accounted for. Last year was the first year I can remember in a long time where there were actual battles for spots in the lineup. Uh-huh. And this year it seems like there's going to be even more of that. And
they have a core too.
Yes, and I hope they take a quieter approach here because I feel like we've spent so many seasons, guys, in Toronto talking about the offense and how it's going to, why they need to augment that. That's their strength. They got to outscore some problems, whatever. I look at the defense, I look at the goaltending, and I go, this is a team that has objectively switched their identity, and that is their identity. And what I know is that if there are 31 teams trying to get better, which is what we've been told, somebody's going to fail. And players are going to become available, especially the type of players that you need, which are objectively a scoring winger. If you need a scoring winger or a playmaking winger, that is the thing that you can find easiest at the trade deadline or even before that. And there are going to be teams that fail. There are going to be general managers that are fired, coaches that are fired, because everybody's trying to get better. And when everybody's trying to get better, there are going to be some failures.
Oh, yeah.
Major ones. And so why not double down on what you are, keep things the same, let people fight it out, figure out what you got. Maybe you give Easton Cowan 9 games before you send him down to the AHL or something like that. And
he might even make it.
And he might even make it. But I look at this and I go, okay, I understand wanting to move on from Kampf. I understand all of that. Robertson deal probably gets done one way or the other. It doesn't really matter what he does in the playoffs. Just get through the regular season. And he can score in the regular season. I just feel like a patient approach for once in this Matthews era, it's now the Matthews era, would be nice. Wait for the opportunity to come to you rather than going and trying to force something.
Well,
and overpaying for it where you don't even have assets.
I think patience is going to be key for everybody. The teams that want to contend for the cup and the teams that want in on Gavin McKenna. Julian brought up a great point. The CJ show is great. You were talking about how almost every team wants to get better, but that's never the case when there's a player like Gavin McKenna available.
Yeah. I feel like by September or October, we'll see some other, you know what, we'll take these.
There's going to be some teams who are going to be like, oh, do we stink? And I think around Halloween, American Thanksgiving, they're going to be like, yeah, we stink. All right. And they're going to pull the chute, and teams are going to have all this cap space, preposterous cap space.
What was it, Alan tweeted this weekend? $275 million in free cap space now?
Like, I had to adjust my brain like, oh, man, the Leafs still got to trade David Kampf. They got to trade him. No, they don't. You have to trade him if you don't have space. They do. So what's the problem? Even if they sign Robertson, they have space. Unless he gets 5 or something, they're going to be totally fine. Every team is going to be able to make a move, which is rare, with the exception of, like, I don't know, maybe, I know Vegas is cartoonishly over the cap, and
Montreal's over the cap. I want to talk about them in a bit.
They're over the cap, though, because Carey Price.
And
no, Patrick Laine, too. Like, Eric Engels pointed it out in his article. Like, he thinks that, this is why I wanted to save it, but he thinks Patrick Laine might be the guy to move there.
Right, but if you take $10 million and you throw that on LTIR, like...
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the Montreal cap number is never a true number because you have $10 million sitting there on Carey Price.
Okay.
When's that over?
Next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's sooner than I thought.
Yeah.
Here, Jesse, I want to play a little game. Are you able to change the spots of the players on that?
I can if I go into GM mode.
Yeah, if you go into GM mode.
You mean in the Toronto lineup?
Yeah.
You got to remember, there are people listening to this.
Oh, I know.
So when you say, are you able to change the spots on
I'm
that?
going to narrate it.
Is it a leopard or what are we doing here?
Well, hey
dad joke.
Very
Thank you.
good. That was very good.
Yeah.
No, because it's July. What day is it? July 8th. And I want to figure out what is going on. What does this team look like? I mean, it looks better today than it has on days in the past. So I would swap Michelli and Nylander, I think. Or maybe not. Would you swap Michelli or Nylander?
I would put Domi up with Matthews. It worked. I don't understand this.
You know what? Sure. Let's do that.
Domi on the right?
Yes. I hate him on the left. Anyway, so that's fine. Nyes, Matthews, Domi. Great. I'll try it. Tavares, Nylander, Michelli.
Yeah, Michelli's a disher. Nylander's a scorer. Boom.
Sure.
Done.
Let's. Now, here's what I'm trying to figure out. Because I actually think I want Scott Laughton on the 3rd. And I know people aren't going to like that. But, like, just think of it as bottom 6, top 6. Put Wah in the middle there.
On the 4th line?
Yep.
Okay.
It's shutdown line. right?
But he scores more than Lawton does.
Goals.
Yeah.
Points is Lawton.
Okay.
You could, or you could just.
Why wouldn't you just? So here's my question: you have Bobby McMahon, Nicholas Waugh, Scott Lawton. Why isn't that a line?
Bobby McMahon, Nikolaj Waugh, Scott Lawton. Yeah, you could do that. You could, but here's what we got right now: Nyes, Matthews, Domi. You got Nyes, Matthews, Disher, and we've seen Domi work with Matthews. We know Nyes works with Matthews. Great, why not try it? Sure. Maccelli, Tavares, Nylander. We know Tavares and Nylander work. Disher, Maccelli. Great. All bottom six line, whatever you want to call it. McMahon, Lawton, Yarncroke. I'm not in love with it, but like they're capable of scoring. They're defensively responsible. Great. Annoying shutdown line, Kampf, Waugh, Lorentz. It's big. You have right-handed face-off guy, Waugh. You have left-handed face-off guy, Kampf. Lorentz can even take them as well. There's no one you could kick out of the dot and have it be a problem. I don't know. You head into the season with that. It's not the end of the world.
Why not the all-bastard line?
Do you want Nick Robertson?
As an extra, sure.
Oh, okay. So no.
The all-bastard line could be...
The only person he kicks out to me is Yarncroke. So you could do
if you need
McMahon, Lawton, Yarncroke. Or McMahon, Waugh, Robertson, I think is weird. Or sorry, McMahon, Lawton, Robertson, McMahon, Waugh, Robertson. Like he's a very interesting player to me. Like
Waugh?
No, Robertson. Like he's still so young. Like we all think he's like 26, 27 at this point. He's still at an age where it makes sense for him to get better and also not be the best version of himself. God, wouldn't it? Like, what a boon it would be to get this guy who magically emerges as a 15, 20 goal guy who's also an everyday player and responsible and not like just hucking grenades everywhere and getting absolutely pancaked shift in and shift out. The one thing that's frustrating me a little bit, like as a Leaf fan trying to fantasize about what the team is going to be, is I want them to get better, but I also want them to get a fit for what they are, and I don't see it out there. Like Roslovic is not a fit. He can help you get through the regular season. He'd be a fine addition to this lineup and, put up 20 goals, whatever. He was a healthy scratch for Carolina, like in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Well,
like, who's out there who matches Craig Berube hockey? It's tough. You're going to have to trade for it, and you're going to have to get creative.
Yeah, that's why we were promised a whole bunch of activity on the trade market, but it hasn't emerged.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen for a bit.
I'd love to know, like, what's holding it up. Is it just everyone is taking a breather? Is it they're trying to figure out, like, I mean, who is also giving up what the Leafs want?
Yeah, it might not be anything holding it up. It just might not have existed. It might have been in line with the thinking. Like, it might have been correct. Like, oh, there's not a lot of good free agents. Guys are going to have to go make trades. But in reality, I don't know if those trades exist because people want to keep their good players.
Oh,
they're not just really giving them up.
I almost wonder if, like, salary arb, like, sort of gets the ball rolling. Because, like, that's quite a few teams that are affected. And they're good teams, some of them.
Yeah, but those names aren't anything that should move the needle.
Oh, Maxim Siplikov. Give me some of
Well,
that.
Velarde's a pretty big one.
Yeah, but he's going to get
But,
it
like,
done.
how's that? I don't know if that's affecting, like, big trades.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
A Gabe Velarde deal.
I don't know. I'm trying to... Listen,
You're trying to will.
I'm trying to will something interesting to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think it's
but
going to...
the reality might just be that it's boring.
Ugh.
You have
Ooh.
to. You have to
Ooh, I don't
By the way,
want that.
I think you're missing a great prime opportunity for an all-bastard line of McMahon, Lawton, and Waugh. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. Because those guys would be a pain in the ass.
Into it.
And then you have the all-no-scoring line of Lorentz, Kampf, and Yarncroke. And if you need some scoring on it, put Robertson in.
Into it.
Right?
Great.
That to me is like, and you can have Waugh and Lawton trade off faceoffs, right? Right and left shot. Kampf can play fourth line center. He can kill penalties. This team is not going to be short on pretty good penalty killers, at least right now. I know that, there is to quote the CJ show, a mortar-sized hole there. But they are going to have guys that can do that.
They really gotta.
And if you, can
I hated that title.
If you can convince,
I hated that title.
if you can convince Bobby McMahon to be a little meaner and a little more attitude, which I think he's capable of, that could be a really fun line. Scott Laughton's not a fun guy to play against. Neither is Waugh.
So let's figure this out then. So can you take Kampf out of the lineup entirely? Drop Laughton down to 4C. Lorentz and switch Yarncroke and Lorentz. Put Waugh in the middle on line 3.
Oh, you want Lorentz over here.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So this allows you to have a Lorentz, Laughton, Yarncroke line, which is what you had in the playoffs. Then you have McMahon, Waugh, and blank space.
Likely Robertson.
I assume the blank space is Robertson, and then you have Kampf and Pizzetta as extras.
Mm-hmm. Robertson doesn't play the right side, really, though.
Yeah, he does.
He does? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Because, like, I look at this lineup, and I like Waugh on the wing there, because at least you're utilizing your right shot players, on the right side. Nylander, Waugh, and Yarncroke are your 3 righties that exist in your whole lineup. And I think that's kind of a best.
That's crazy, by the way.
That.
Yeah. Well, so then they still need a 3C? No, I would.
No.
I would
you
sooner move
have
Laughton
David.
up.
You have David Kampf.
Yeah, I would
like Laughton.
Yeah.
There's another option.
This is what we had before. We switched Lorentz and Yarncroke.
The same option.
Yeah, like I liked where it was. I didn't think it needed to be moved. Like, you're gonna have to use David Kampf if you're paying him $2.4 million. I feel like that's an adequate 4C because we know he can do that, and at least you have Waugh as your right winger with a right shot.
Yeah, the big one is if you scroll down to the defense. After the inflation of this free agency, there are 0 bad contracts. None. Ekman Larson was a little rich. Not anymore.
I saw somebody try to make the claim that
not
that's
Morgan
a bad
Riley
deal.
either.
I'm like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah, not Morgan Riley either, honestly.
We've turned the tide on that.
Dude, Morgan Riley on free agency today gets that. Since 2022.
Yeah, but that means it's been a bad deal for half of the contract.
No, since 2022.
And what's his play?
Give me a sec.
Okay.
Since 2022, I came across this when I was doing the Bouchard video. For scoring by a defenseman over the last 3 or 4 seasons, he's a 10th or 11th in the entire league. And he's not making 10th or 11th in the entire league money. Porous at times.
Better with Carlo.
Yeah.
But he is going to do wonky shit. And he's only he's going into year 5 of this contract? Yeah.
It was the theme of the Leafs at the time. Yeah, no, Kyle was awful at this. He was awful at the whole contract thing. Like, it's interesting seeing him in Pittsburgh doing exactly what he was great at in Toronto, which is just selling the farm and getting 40 million picks. He was legitimately very good at that. The contract thing, he's miserable. He's got to be bottom 5 in the league.
Yeah, and they're hanging on to Tristan Jarry there. Good old times.
And the goalies forget it.
The thing that scares me most about Morgan Riley is I think the worst game of his career was Game 7 against Florida Panthers.
Yep.
He could not have been worse. And in those moments, I feel like that carries more weight than anything he does in the regular season. And I'm going to always remember that. And that's the type of performance we're going to get out of this player.
The problem with him is, like, his offense does elevate in the playoffs, but, like, is that what we need out of you?
Not at all.
Well, and I also think, like, Jesse makes such a good point. Like, people are really hard on Calle Yarncroke for his lack of goals in the playoffs. Dude, like, what are we doing?
That era is over. The era of nickel and diming is over.
But my point is, you need your best players to be their best in their best games. It's why Carolina didn't stand a chance against Florida.
Yeah.
Their best players looked tiny and small. And
I'm not buying what they're selling.
Well, and you talk about Roslovic. The guy's over 6 feet tall. He's 80th percentile in terms of speed.
Yeah,
he's a right shot
average size
center who scores at a half a point a game pace. Yeah. I think he adds significantly to this lineup.
Center wing. Like, I would get him just to have him as an option.
Well, you could have 3 centers on the third line with a guy like that.
I wonder what he's asking for.
Well, I would hope it's a lot.
He had 22 goals.
Yeah.
So I see Christian Dvorak, and I'm like, well, I'm at least him.
Oof.
Yeah, but you're not making that playing for the Leafs. You want to go sign with the Flyers or the Blackhawks, you can make that kind of money. You're not making that.
The Leafs also, like, they can't spend too much because I still think they need bodies. The competition, the stuff we were talking about going into training camp, they need more people to be in competition for these spots.
Agreed.
They have that $4.9 million in cap space, and they have right now Michael Pezzetta and Nick Robertson and Ryan Reeves fighting for the last couple lineup
and
spots.
Reeves is going to be sent out.
I would like better humans to be fighting for those spots. I'd like another situation where you have a guy like Matt Pacioretty coming in a training camp and fighting for that. So I hope they utilize that $4.9 million on like 1-year deals that are $900,000 or $1 million, just to have people in there because this lineup's not going to be healthy for the entire length of the season.
Right.
And your only extra forward is like Easton Cowan or Pezzetta or Reeves. Like, they need depth here. They actually lack a lot of depth in the forward group.
That's where Cowan comes in. You're right. That Gruel guy is sort of an interesting signing.
Who?
Exactly. That's fair. He's got 3 names. I forget what.
Well, what about the 5 guys they signed to the Marlies today, gentlemen?
Today?
Today. They just signed it as of the start of this show.
Now, are they NHL contracts or AHL?
They're AHL, but they can always be upgraded.
All right, yeah.
Like they got Gunnar Wolf-Fontaine.
Yo, the Leafs got Gunnar Wolf-Fontaine.
They did. From the
SDP
Iowa Wild.
legend?
That's right. What a name.
Wow.
Ben King, Nick Rayom, Marco Sikic, and Ryan McCleary. So,
Sikach. I think I recognize him.
yeah. And I think McCleary is from the Cincinnati Cyclones, so that's their ECHL.
Good for him.
Good for him. Little promotion.
Gunnar
Jesse's
Wolf-Fontaine.
right. It's our guy. It's our guy.
I
What a
need to
name.
know more about Gunnar Wolf-Fontaine. That's so good.
They need more humans in
Yes.
their roster.
Yes.
In their organization to compete for NHL spots.
They did get Vinny Lettieri, who is like an NHL option. Oh, Travis Boyd is a good depth option. They picked him up as well. Mm-hmm. He can play in the NHL. Mm-hmm. I see where you're getting at, Jesse. I see where you're getting
The
at.
things you're offering me aren't of highest quality.
Mom, what's the problem, Jesse?
but what is your 13th, 14th forward supposed to get you out of bed?
Last year when they brought in Alex Nylander, it felt like something of like, oh, there's a former top 10 pick who you can throw in your system. They needed him during the regular season last year because of all the injuries. They called him up, played a couple of games, wasn't spectacular, not coming back, whatever. But at least there was an NHL body ready to go. And I feel like they're lacking those guys right now in the system. But it's July, what is it, 8th?
8th.
It's July 8th. There's 4 months to solve that. Yeah, you got the date wrong. I'm not too concerned. It's just on the list of things they need to check off in the next 4 months. So this isn't like I'm not like pissed off that the Leafs need more guys.
Oh, Jesse walked in
I'm
here
just
pissed
saying,
today.
like they need to do this eventually before October hits.
They'll get guys.
Yeah.
I'm not
Just on the list of Leafs things that needs to get done.
Yep. And there's there are Leaf fans that would love a reunion with Nazem Kadri. There are Leaf fans that would love a reunion with Tyler Bertuzzi.
Banned. Kadri rumors are banned.
Yeah, they are.
Because as long as he's a Flame, it's banned.
Steve Dangle Podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. And let me tell you something. This is a time of year for reevaluation. I always talk about September 1st being it's the new year. It's the true new year because you're going back to school. A lot of people back from vacation, whatever. And you always want to hit the ground running. But like if you don't reevaluate some of the things that you did the previous year that maybe you're not the happiest with, that you'd like to improve on, get better at, and then what are you doing?
Sometimes you got to retool on the fly.
Oh, I like a good hockey term. It's good. Now, BetterHelp has retool on the fly. Oh. You didn't know that?
What? No.
You just thought it was a life term?
Yeah.
Okay. 30,000 credentialed therapists with a wide range of specialties. 5 million people worldwide use BetterHelp. It is fully online. It makes therapy affordable and convenient. Oftentimes, you can be matched with a therapist in like 48 hours. And that is very different from other therapy where it can be like 6 weeks.
Right.
So if you want to check it out, visit betterhelp.com/STP today. Get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SDP. 10% off your first month. Speaking of, I want to talk about the Nikolaj Ehlers contract because it was signed in between when we last did a recording and today. This is a guy who signed. I thought this cap hit, guys, was a lot more reasonable than I expected. It will expire when he's 35. but it's a 6-year deal, $8.5 million. And, he's 29 years old. And I think what's interesting about Nick Ehlers is so much of his career, he's been 60, 70-point guy, but he's only done it with like 15 minutes of ice time a night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in Carolina, they need somebody who can play more. I think Nick's always wanted to play more. I don't know if it solves the issue of getting past Florida, although I don't know how anyone solves that issue at this point. They're not bigger. They're not meaner, but they are Carolina-er. Like, he is a Carolina Hurricane, even having never played a game there.
That's the Florida problem, isn't it? Like, you can't go into every season going, how do we beat them? It's just, how do we be the best version of ourselves?
Right.
And I don't know. Like, to me, that definitely makes the Hurricanes more the Hurricanes.
Well, yeah, because he's 6 feet tall, but he's 172 pounds.
Yeah, and
so he's not heavy.
Fast, and he'll score, and they'll kill it in the regular season again. They'll compete for the division. They might compete for the league. Honestly, I see them as like a prime candidate for a guy like Rickard Rakell, who would really tie the room together. I assume Kotkaniemi would be part of the return there, and they have space. But if we're looking at here's what I'm struggling with. Every year when we do like preseason or heading into break, who's your cup contender? We always take the cup champion and then we go, yeah, but push them to the side. Let's be difficult about this. Who else is ready to take the jump? And this year, it's very clearly we're wasting our time if it's any team other than the Panthers. And can I see that Hurricanes team pushing them to 6? No. What are you talking about? Kotkaniemi and an ancient Jordan Staal as your third line center. What are we doing? That series is a waste of time.
Carolina is interesting because they have so much cap space and they're not utilizing it right now with this set roster that we think is going to be pretty up there in the Eastern Conference. They still have $10 million in cap space, so they're primed for a huge move at some point in the next 365 days to
Carey
get
just
ready.
sitting in the press box. That's a good player.
They're going to be huge buyers once again at the trade deadline, and just how they tried to get Mikko Rantanen to stick around last year, they can do the same thing this year. So I wonder who that guy is going to be for them, because this roster isn't the roster they're going to go up against Florida in the playoffs. Like, they're going to have some sort of stud there who's making, I don't know, $8 million just added to their roster.
Their depth on the wing is really nice.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice. Aho's a great player. Defense is good.
They've got the picks to go get a second line center too, although no one's giving right now.
Of all the teams that are not done, Carolina feels the least done, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And that's after they got Ehlers, right? So they're a difficult team to evaluate right now.
Yeah, Kotkaniemi, I don't think going into the playoffs is their second line center.
No, I
don't think going into the regular season.
If he is, then I think it's a failure to not get it done, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, Steve. I think you can play 4 months with Kotkaniemi there. Once you hit February or March 8th or whatever the trade deadline is going to be, they'll acquire somebody who's a big name because they have all the cap space and they have all the draft capital, as you said, Adam. 2 first-round picks next year, I think it is. They have the ability to go. Oh no, it's just next year.
I can't believe they still have them.
2028 they got 2. 2027 they got 1.
They have 2 in 2028.
I think that was part of the Dallas trade, was it not? And
Dallas.
they traded another one for Keandre Miller.
Dallas, and then their own pick. So they can go spend futures and go get something really good.
Look at their 2026.
Yeah, they're set up to go buy, and with the cap space, they're going to do it. So I don't know. It's hard to evaluate the Hurricanes when they're set up to just be better in the future.
What do you guys think of the bet with Keandre Miller? Because that's a big contract for the Rangers were like, we are not going more than a couple years with you because we don't know that you're actually going to make your. If we said this 18 months ago, right? Keandre Miller not with the Rangers. They had some serious doubts about him. That would have been crazy. But for whatever reason, last year his defense was not great. He was all over the ice. Do you think that the bet that they made, 8 years, $7.5 million, spent a first-round pick and Scott Morrow, that's a good haul for the Rangers, and it's an expensive deal for the Carolina Hurricanes? Is that in Rod's system a good bet? Because they have to rebuild. Pesci and Shea and all the guys that have left, they've had to rebuild that over the following couple of years here.
I thought it was really cool that didn't they release a video where they were like, here's why Miller is going to be a good fit for us?
I didn't see it if they did.
They talked about like the nuts and bolts of his game. I didn't realize he was 6'5". Where on earth? I mean, if he can play like it, I think he'll fit. It's difficult to also say his game doesn't match the playoffs as a guy who's been to the third round twice. And
beaten the Carolina Hurricanes on the way, by the way.
Yes, he did. That is absolutely right. And maybe that's how they got so enamored with the player. I honestly, you're signing him for like more years of that contract or UFA years than aren't. 7.5 is going to be good value. You know he's going to produce. It's just a matter of, can this player continue to grow? Like, defensemen are rarely done developing by 25. That's more like you're talking like a forward.
Right.
A forward is, I'm not saying there's no depth added to their game. It's usually they figure out the whole scoring thing and then they get a little bit better defensively. Defensemen, you want to see a more well-rounded game, and now he gets to, like, who the hell was the Jacob Slavin on the Rangers? Mm-hmm. Like, he's not getting those assignments. Those are all going to Slavin. Can you handle the secondary ones? I think he can.
Yeah.
I think he can just fine.
I'm just gonna say that like Adam Fox is pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
But like he's not doing the things that Jacob Slavin is.
He's pretty good.
He's offensively one of the most elite defensemen in the league. Mm-hmm. But as a shutdown guy, he's not Jacob Slavin.
He's not. He's pretty good.
He is pretty good, but he's not Jacob Slavin.
All right. Mm-hmm.
In that regard.
Yeah.
He's going to Carolina to kind of be their Adam Fox. Right? Mm-hmm. He's going to get, like, who's doing the power play? It's going to be Gostisbehere, because that's what he does. Probably Miller, I would think. Right?
Yeah. With Brent Burns was on the power play a little.
Yes. He's gone now, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Now that he's gone. Yeah, I guess Miller's run some of the PK.
Where is Burns?
Free agent.
He went to Avalanche.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bonus-laden deal. I think he's making like, if all the, what was it that said that like $3 million of it is attainable bonuses and like the $4 million is like probably something insane like them winning the cup and him getting the Norris or something like that. But a quote unquote attainable Norris or votes. And I actually think, by the way, that's a great ad for the Avs. Like, I didn't mind the way he played last year until they played the Florida Panthers. And he was good. And he's still big. And he's still a vibes guy. Mm-hmm. And I think Colorado could use a little bit of that after how hard last year was.
On the bonus thing, it's $3 million at 10 games played. $1 million if you play 70 games with 23 minutes or more. I think that's pretty attainable.
I think that is, yeah.
Yeah. But you were saying they're like unattainable.
Well, this is what Fried was saying. I'm repeating that, but I didn't know the 23 minutes. I guess the 23 minutes is a sticking point, right? With this, like, who's playing 23 minutes or more with Cale Makar and Devin Tate?
Yeah, I don't think Burns is going to average 23 minutes on the Avalanche. That's fair.
His agent, by the way,
I guess that's pretty unattainable.
His agent, Ron
Seltzer.
He works for Icy Luck Inc., and he is their only agent, and Burns is their only client.
Oh.
On Puckpedia.
All right.
That's odd.
So I don't know what that's about.
That's icy luck, baby.
Icy luck?
So the Carolina Hurricanes are interesting. I just think, I guess it's Tulsky saying, this is who we are, and we're gonna win or lose being who we are.
I don't think they're done.
Goaltending is still a question for me. You're going to get 20 games out of Freddie in the regular season. You're going to get 2 good and 1 bad game out of him every playoff.
If I ask you who's going to be your goalie when the playoffs begin, and your answer starts with, well, you've already lost. Freddie is going to play. What is the maximum amount of games we think he can play?
20.
At this point in his career.
20.
I'll be optimistic and say 30. Maybe even 35. Like, is Kochetkov ever going to take that step to be that guy that, like, we thought he could be a few years ago?
The last time Freddie Anderson played over 25 games in a season was 22-23, so it was a couple years ago. And it was 34. And then the season before that, it was 52. And, like, respectfully, Freddie's a great goalie when he's healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. And, like, I know
he's also 35.
Yeah, that's the problem. I know we're Leaf fans, and we got 2 Band-Aids as goalies as well, but at least there's 2 of them.
And they're younger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's... I don't want to judge them too harshly because they're very obviously not done, but they don't scare me right now.
Which contract would you rather have, the K'Andre Miller contract or the Morgan Rielly one?
K'Andre Miller.
The 25-year-old?
The same amount of money.
K'Andre Miller.
The 25-year-old.
All day.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Does that change your perspective on the Morgan Rielly contract?
I still think it's a bad contract.
not
I said it
awesome.
from day one. It sucks.
It's still not awesome.
And full no move. No ability to get out of it ever.
Yeah, that part's bad.
Yeah.
Like,
it's an ugly contract.
It is.
First
And it
one
was
was so
it was from day one. And I understand that he was coming off a 72-point season or whatever. Here's the thing with the Leafs that drove us nuts, and it's the thing that keeps coming up with that Shanahan era, and I'll call it the Shanny era, is that they never moved off their own guys despite the evidence. That was a prime opportunity to trade a guy at the peak of his value. That's all you had to do.
Well, that's the Brian McCabe mistake.
100%. You got to understand, how repeatable is this? And I think Morgan Rielly is a great person and a great soldier, and I think there are parts of his games that are awesome. But dude, if he's back again, I go back to for the Leafs. He goes back to running power play 1 next year, gets a bunch of assists. That's great. Here's the problem: he can't shoot from the point. So if you're a team defending the Toronto Maple Leafs power play, what do you got to do? Cover the other 4 guys and let Morgan throw his muffins at the net. That's it. And that happened, by the way.
I know.
That's why they moved him off of it.
When the dust settles and we can all sort of look back on, what went wrong with the Shanaplan era. Which, don't worry, I'm going to work on it. Lou Lamoriello is, like, people point at the shitty contracts he signed. Mm-hmm. Like, he signed a couple cartoonishly shitty contracts. Zaitsev was
terrible.
So shitty.
Terrible.
Engvall, then with the Islanders, is cartoonishly shitty. Riley's second contract was 6 years, 5. As a young, up-and-coming defenseman.
Good.
Son of a bitch. You know what Kadri's was?
4.5.
6 years, 4.5. Mm-hmm. And he signed those on the same day.
It's pretty good. I'd say Lou was pretty good at his job.
Yeah,
I mean, he won a lot more cups than the Leafs have.
Hot take. Hot take. No, like, listen, he's very old now. Should probably retire. I think he got more right than he got wrong.
What would this Leafs era look like if they chose Lou over Kyle Dubas?
It's the question.
Nylander would have sat the whole year. That's what would have happened.
It's the question.
Nylander would have sat the whole damn year and probably ended up traded. That's what would have happened.
Well, that's not good.
It's
not good. I don't like that either, but that's probably what would have happened.
Well, then I don't want that.
Yeah. And Marner signs for less, and Matthews signs for less, and because the Leafs would be like, we're not screwing around. Do they get Tavares?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. That is a very good
question. Do they get Marleau?
They might.
Oh, wait, no, he signed.
No, they got Marleau.
He signed Marleau.
Tavares, though. We don't know.
I think they get Tavares. Just seeing how his life played out and how much he loves being a Leaf, it seems like he kind of always wanted to be a Leaf, and I'm sure their presentation would have been just as good with Lou there. So I think they get JT. You're probably right about Nylander being traded, and I don't know. Maybe they are better off with the smaller contracts for Marner and probably Matthews at some point.
It was Lou that put them in that position with Marner, by the way. Jonas Siegel pointed this out.
Oh, stop.
It was because they could have signed him for like 8 times 8 after his second year, but Lou's thing was, well, let him wait.
Have time, use it. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were going to go back to the B and A signing performance bonuses.
No. I was talking about the second deal.
Hey, Lou. Okay, so Lou Lamoriello told Marner's camp, we're not giving you B bonuses because we don't do that. And then they gave Matthews the B bonuses. Yeah, so, hey, I know it's your first day. Matthews was the first overall pick, and they always get those. So forget violating Leafs policy or whatever. It would have been Lou breaking precedence with the league. Mm-hmm. Stupid.
Yeah, I just think, I think... Would the team have been different? Sure. Would it have been better? That's debatable. I don't think.
I don't know.
I think Lou had a couple of good years with the Islanders at the end.
Yeah.
But then when the Islanders got bad, he was like, "No, I'm going to stubbornly hang on to what they were 3 years ago under a different head coach and hope that it works." And he did a terrible job.
Lou's tenure head against Kyle Dubas was far more successful in Long Island.
Yes.
Like they went to 2 conference finals, 3? 2 or 3? 2 conference finals.
They were arguably the second best team in the league for at least 2 years.
Yeah, which is pretty, that's a great job considering you lose your best player.
Yep.
At the start of your tenure running that team.
You ran into here's the difference. You ran into the eventual Cup champs in long series in the 3rd round is a little bit different than we got our asses murdered in Game 7 in the 2nd round against the Panthers.
Yeah.
So it just hits a little different.
Eric Engels brought up a point in his article today about what Montreal still has to do. Now, I am and I know Canadiens fans hate this, Kirby Dach is coming off of 2 years in a row of reconstructive knee surgery. Forgive me for having serious doubts that he's their 2C. And
it's just an enormous question mark.
I'm a non-believer until I'm a believer on this one.
Well,
So count me as I don't believe it.
It's like Taves in Winnipeg. Like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, he might be terrible. I don't know.
He hasn't played for 2 years.
So with Dach, they have him sort of penciled in between Bolduc and Demidov, which is an amazing opportunity.
That's a lot of fun.
If he's good, it could be great, and I'm happy to be wrong. But one guy that Eric Engels had asterisked and put on the 4th line in his lineup is Patrick Laine. And, Patrick, I know he just got married and everything, excited for him. It seems like very quickly here he is finding himself on the outside looking in potentially in Montreal. And I'm wondering, we talk about like a boring trade market. What does a 50% retain for 1 more year? Because that's how Montreal can maximize.
Because what's
value.
that, like 4 in a bit?
Yeah, because I think he makes 8.4 or 8.6 or something, whatever it was. 8.7. So let's
Holy
say...
shit, really?
Yeah, so let's say Montreal, if they want to, decides, we'll hold 50% back for the year, because who the hell cares? And we'll trade him. And in fact, you could work a team in, because everybody's got cap space right now on a double retention. It's just 1 year. And you could maximize some serious value. And maybe you don't get that 2C before the season starts. But as I told you, people are going to fail. I don't think Montreal is.
No.
I think they're going to do well. And somebody is going to trade a 2C eventually.
Get Kotkaniemi back.
No, don't do that.
I know,
do not do that.
No.
But if you want that asset, you did a great job with Noah Dobson. You can go and see if you can find some value back for Patrick Laine and then parlay those resources into your eventual 2C.
You mentioned something there, and I want to touch on it. So in the new CBA, there's a bunch of stuff coming, but it's not in place yet.
Yeah.
So, for example, the 8th year of the contract is done.
The 70-day double retention thing you're talking about.
The 70-day double retention. So that doesn't kick in for this season, right?
Right. And it's next year. Next, upcoming season after 25-26.
So we should see a glut of them.
Double retention.
Because
Well, I mean,
they're going away.
You might not need to. There's so much cap.
Well, there's that too. Well, this is the thing. Trouba was traded, no retention. Kreider was traded, no retention. I believe Montreal got Laine, no retention. In this economy, you should be able to get rid of Laine, no retention whatsoever.
But if you want to maximize the value back, it's not cap space they're going to be looking for. You're looking for assets.
You're not getting them.
I think you can.
You didn't give them up to get him.
Well, what does that matter?
What is that?
I'm giving him up now.
He's gotten even worse.
Well, he did.
That's what matters.
But he scored a bunch on the power play when he came in and was a power play guy.
Over the span of a month and then disappeared. Laine at his hottest is like Pasternak. He's absurd when he's on, and he's almost never on. That's how it works. Wasn't he the last guy to get 5 goals in a game?
I have no idea.
Or something, and no one paid attention because he did it in Finland, I think, on a global series game. When he's hot, he's one of the most lethal offensive weapons in the league. 80% of the time he's ice. Just complete ice.
And I think he was injured, but basically unplayable in the playoffs, and they scratched him.
The definition of big for nothing.
Oh, yeah. No physicality.
Who has ever even woken up sore the next morning?
But do you not think, Steve and Jesse, that Patrick Laine could go to a team that can't score a la maybe a Calgary for a year, retained, and give Kadri somebody to pass the puck to, Huberdeau somebody to pass the puck to who can finish, and you go, hey, we'll just try this out.
But do the Montreal Canadiens not need somebody who scores?
I think that they got it in Demidov and Slavkovsky, and like I know that
I'd rather have the kids on the power play. Yeah,
like I don't think Laine's got a spot. That's what I'm talking about.
I understand what you're saying. He's one of those guys who, like we talked about earlier, he's not a problem that needs to be dealt with right away. Like, what if October, November, December, at least one of them is one of those hot months for him?
Yeah, like I see Patrick Laine as exactly how the team you're trading him to would utilize him.
He kind of turned their season around for a little bit.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, when he scored all those power play goals in a row. Yeah. Like I feel like that's how you utilize him. Like if you're gonna sell him to a team, you're selling him at his lowest, and you're saying that he's not useful for us because he's just a goal scorer, and that's what they want. But the Montreal Canadiens need goal scorers, right? I feel like they need a guy like Patrick Laine, and it's only 1 year.
Yeah,
I can see them running it out or moving him at the deadline, maybe if things actually don't work out and somebody wants to take a chance and they just want to dump the money. But I don't know if it's like a off-season move.
The new cap environment has me going, this is a problem? Wait, no, it isn't. You know what I mean? With so many contracts. Like I was talking about Kampf with the Leafs, which is obviously way different and way less. But like, you don't got to move him. Laine, you don't gotta move him. There's like how many teams in the NHL? 3 that actually have to worry about the cap right now.
Right, like Vegas.
Yeah,
they're kind of okay.
The rest of them is we can wait.
Yeah,
we can wait. It'll be okay. I think one of the things that sort of got popular over the last couple of years is just throwing dudes on waivers. Mm-hmm. Laine might just get waived, and I know you don't like that because you think they should get assets back for him. He was healthy in the playoffs. It's not happening. You might get like what did they give up to Gavin?
Was not healthy, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think he was
okay. Injured. Well, yeah, unhealthy, scratched.
Yeah, like he was on IR, or he was scratched because he was injured.
Well, when he was healthy, he was not very good.
Mm-hmm. But there's the argument that he wasn't entirely healthy that season.
I just look at it. You want to give guys like Demidov and this, Bolduc guy, and you want to give these guys as much. Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki are mainstays. Slavkovsky mainstay on that first unit,
and you want to shelter those kids by putting them in front of someone who understands how to play defensive hockey. Oh, like he might be worse than he was when he was 18. Like when it comes.
Well, and that's why I think you have guys like Anderson and Gallagher. Although as much as you don't like those contracts, whatever. Yeah. You got great deals on the other guys. So
yeah, but like, okay, so you want Caulfield to play more minutes on the power play and Bolduc and everything, but like, what if Laine's the best at the power play? Then what if he's better than those guys?
Then you're playing a fourth line minutes 5-on-5. I think.
Sure, I'm fine with that. But if he's putting up a whole bunch of power play points and he's very useful on the power play, like there's no reason to. This isn't a development league. Like this isn't a development system. Just because you want those guys to get better at the power play doesn't mean you take off somebody who's better than them.
I just don't see Montreal re-signing this guy. So why would you take Demidov's minutes away or Slavkovsky's minutes away?
Right, it's going to be Caulfield at 5-on-5 for sure.
But even power play, Jess. Like if
he's an own rental,
if he is fuck off with the own rental. If it's power play 2, I can see it. Mm-hmm. If he's out there with like Anderson and Gallagher, fine. But if you're telling me that you'd rather have like a Caulfield, Slavkovsky switch out or a Demidov switched out for Patrick Laine, that. Where I'm like, what are we building towards here?
But he's better than them at that
right
role.
Now, but he's not going to be long term. Those guys are going to be the guys.
Yeah, but you're not trying, like, it's not about like getting those guys to be good for next season, about winning hockey games, right? Like I feel like a coach looks at that and he's like, I'm trying to win a hockey game tonight, and if this guy's going to score a goal and this guy isn't more likely to score a goal, they're going to put this guy in the power play. I feel like that's game to game. You're just trying to win games.
I don't know.
So I don't know if he sticks around to the end of the season. Like it's a wait and see kind of mentality with him.
He does have a 10-team no trade as well, but there are 22 teams that he could be traded to without question. So
I'm just looking at his game log. Like he's so funny. He's so funny. Goal, no goal. Goal, no goal, no goal. Hat trick, goal. Followed by 5 games of no goal. And then, like, that's the Laine experience. There used to be guys like that. I feel like it was more common growing up of the...
Streaky?
Well, no, like fourth line dude who plays top power play. Like Marius Cherkasky with the Leafs, I feel like was a healthy scratch or on Sundin's wing. Like it was it was just really strange. Those guys don't exist in abundance today. Maybe he's one of them. I want to say, like, I'm trying to think of guys who used to do that, like UC Jokinen, kind of.
Well, he was like was he not a shootout god?
He was a shootout god. He was such a specialized player. There were nights he was probably in the lineup just in case you go to the shootout.
Right.
And he was awesome.
Another guy I'm wanting to, if anything's going to shake loose in this trade freeze that we're sort of in, that is, is this Marco Rossi thing. And apparently he and his agent do not want to have a short-term deal. They want the Boldy deal because of what happened in the playoffs. They are worried that if they go short-term and Marco Rossi puts up 60 points, but then again only plays 8 or 9 minutes a night or 11 minutes or whatever it was in the playoffs, that it's going to hurt his value long-term.
Why?
Which is why I don't think you can sign him to a long-term deal.
You know what annoys me about that narrative? Oh, he only played 11 minutes in the... Okay, but he still scored, though. He scored in those minutes.
How many guys of that size can you have in a lineup in the playoffs?
Well, it doesn't seem like he even got the chance to prove if he was good or bad and still put up point. Like, no one is going... Even though he played this little, he still scored.
Mm-hmm.
It's
because they're short and they're small, right? Short can be tough. Small is small. Like, you get hemmed in, you get sandwiched, you get squished like a bug.
But it's just this, the coach made a decision in a series his team lost.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he's not a good player.
Where they weren't the better team. Like, the entire team lost. It wasn't on him.
They looked like they were in it for 4 games.
Where he played the regular season and had substantial minutes, like regular minutes, and he scored 20 goals. Yeah. And then he gets to the playoffs, and the coach reduced his minutes, and now that's his fault.
And you're going, man, but we looked pretty good through the first 4 games. Well, I can tell you what team that reminds me of. And it's not one you should model your franchise after.
It's a very odd narrative around Rossi, and it's weird how no one's questioned it up until this point, where they don't like him because he's small and he didn't play a lot of minutes.
I mean, they drafted him 9th overall.
He also had a good regular season.
Yeah.
Yeah, they drafted him 9th overall, but people forget he had, I believe it was long COVID.
Oh, shit.
And he missed like a year.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look at, I wonder about this guy because, here's the thing. Yes, he scored in the playoffs. Yes, he scored in the regular season. But guys, if you're an acquiring team, you have to give this guy $50 million upon arrival. Are you comfortable doing that?
Over how many years?
7 years.
I don't think you have.
Do math.
That's what he wants.
So that's
he wants the Boldy deal.
That's 7 point.
Well, it's 7 times 7. Basically, it's 49. I rounded up. That's what he wants. That's what's the holdup here. It's not that the Wild don't like him. It's that they don't like what he wants them to pay. They want to go shorter term.
It sounds like they don't like him. It sounds like they don't like him at all as a player and as a human because of his size.
I don't remember if it was CJ or Friedge, but they were like, well, Minnesota's probably just going to keep him now.
Yep, probably.
This is the problem with being an RFA. Like, you're kind of screwed, kid. Like, oh, well, I want this and I want that. Well, have you tried being older?
But have you had more service years? Yeah.
Well, until you get that way, I guess you're screwed. Like, I mean, he could sit out. His leverage is he can sit out. Mm-hmm. It worked for Peterka. Trade me. And Buffalo said, okay, fine. Let's get no picks for you. Because we're so weird.
They didn't want picks. They wanted players.
You should have got both. It's JJ Peterka. You should have got both.
It's strange to me how it seems like ever since the playoffs started, the Minnesota Wild have been trying to trash this player when he scored 60 points, 24 goals as a 23-year-old, back-to-back 20-goal seasons, his first 2 seasons in the league.
An enormous reason you even made the playoffs because you had an MVP candidate who missed like half the season.
Yeah, and Rossi was very useful to you. Playoff start, garbage to us. playing him 10 minutes a night. He's small.
Still put up, what was it, 3 or 4
3
points?
points.
In 6
2 goals.
games?
2
Two
goals.
goals, one assist. Yeah.
Hey, we'd love that in Toronto.
Think of the guys the Leafs have played that little. Like, okay, like fourth liners. 3 points out of a fourth liner in one playoff series. Our cup runneth over. Holy shit! And this guy's shit on your shoe. I don't understand it.
And against a team you weren't better than. The Vegas Golden Knights were better than you in that series.
Yeah.
Every game of that series. And you managed to win a couple. He was important in a couple of those games. You know, they went to OT, I think, in one of the games he scored, and they lost eventually. But, like, I don't know. I don't know why they have to go out and just say Marco Rossi's bad.
I think it's that they've always maintained they like the player. They just don't like
Then why
what
did
he's
they play
asking
him?
for.
Paying him. No, I know.
Why didn't they play him? They play him 10 minutes a night.
So the coach probably doesn't like him.
Yeah,
I think
sounds
management
like
management likes him.
coach hates him.
And coaches get into weird things. Like, look at the Leafs. They traded Rasmus Sandin. They ended up with Easton Cowan with that pick, thank God. But, like, here's a perfectly good defenseman that the Leafs were not going to play. And his assistant coach goes to the team that he ends up at and plays him. And Rasmus Sandin's a pretty good NHLer who can move a puck. Leafs could have used that.
Fancy that. Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'll take Easton Cowan. I'm excited to see how the guy develops, but here's a guy who plays regular top 4 minutes that you developed, and he's with the team that just missed out on the President's Trophy, right?
I need producer Hayden here. I wish he was in the room right now because something happened in game 1 or 2. Like, I'm just looking at it.
The ice time drop?
12 minutes and 10 seconds in game 1. He had 1 shot, 18 shifts. The next game, he plays 9:27, has 11 shifts. That's it.
Interesting. Maybe there was a lot of penalties.
I don't know. But then he scores in back-to-back games. He had a 2-point game 3 and scored in game 4.
He's trash. That's why.
Plus in both games. And I wonder, because he does have 4 penalty minutes in game 6. And maybe people go, well...
I mean, it's one game, for God's sake.
Yeah, but it's the deciding game. And
yeah,
judge players based on that. And maybe that's it. I don't know. I think we're maybe killing this kid a little...
Yeah,
early.
I think
if he does it in 6 or 7 consecutive years, then I think it's a thing. But
I'm coming to the conclusion that John Hines does not like this human being, didn't want to play him in the playoffs, and now management's trying to move on from him because the coach is not a fan of this player.
And
John Hines
never
is
been
a
wrong.
different dude, doesn't like Marco Rossi.
Never been wrong.
Coach has never been wrong.
Coach has never been wrong, no. Coaches get weird vendettas against people, and they're
do.
never wrong. Their coach is always right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love about coaches. They are always right.
Yeah, they're perfect.
Spotless record, both of them.
Yeah, true. Okay, Gavin McKenna has left Medicine Hat. He's going to be first overall, we think, next year. He's left Medicine Hat. He's going to make $700,000
Well,
in NIL.
yeah, $700,000 worth of education. Right?
Yeah, in the NCAA. And this is part of the sort of the rules, right? And now that, these guys can develop themselves in the CHL and then get a massive deal to go a la Austin Matthews, who avoided all that and just played in Zurich, right? Mm-hmm. But you can go and make real money now in college because of the rule changes. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious what you guys think about it.
As someone who works for a sports media company who worked very hard to get rights to WHL footage, I am so sad.
It would have been the Medicine Hat Bowl next year.
Big Dub, the whole video series would just be Gavin McKenna and his... We could have done Big Dub and then had a separate video series that's just, here's what Gavin McKenna did this week. And we would have been right. And now we can't.
Yep.
Son of a... I'm upset.
I like how you made the McKenna conversation about you.
It is. To me, it is.
I think this is great for the player and for hockey. I truly think this is a fantastic thing for the sport, and I hope it leads to the OHL learning that we got to pay these players and make it worthwhile for their time to play here. Like the NCAA for so many years, they just stole players' livelihoods from them because they had to be student athletes, and if you make money in the NCAA, you can't You can't make money elsewhere. You had to make $0 to play in the NCAA, and them enacting name, image, and likeness, where you can sell the likeness that the NCAA is profiting off of. You can go and do your side deal with Nike and whoever and make money that way. That's the correct way this should work. You are a human adult. Who cares that you're a student at a university? You should be able to sell your likeness to Nike for a t-shirt. Like, I feel like this is how it should be, and I'm glad that it's finally entered the hockey sphere, where these kids who spend their so much time here in Canada can go down there and make money in the NCAA. And you know what? It's great for the game, because you become a bigger star there playing hockey at an NCAA school than you do playing up here. Like, it's just a bigger market. It's America. It's the NCAA. If Penn State does well, they go to the Frozen Four, they win something. McKenna can be a star down in America, and then he's always going to be a star here in Canada because we care so much about hockey. We're going to be,
at the World
watching
Series.
what he does there. Yeah. And then it's good for the NHL because they now have a great feeder system where the American broadcasters are making stars out of these kids, and then they grow in the NHL and they become even bigger stars.
I also think it's great, said every WHL goalie.
Why is that?
Well, because now they don't have to play him.
Oh yeah. Their stats just got better.
Yeah.
I wonder. The people are already saying, well, it's doomed for the CHL because they're going to lose all the best
hockey players to go around.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So
how many roster spots do you think these teams have?
That's what I was thinking that too. It does open up the door for somebody else.
Yeah.
I think my other question is, because there are a lot more extraordinarily talented hockey players out there. Are they going to find another Gavin McKenna? No, because he comes around once every 5 to 10 years. But I'm wondering from the CHL's perspective, because they kind of take care of your schooling, right? Mm-hmm. Now that they don't have to, because the NCAA will take care of your schooling if that's that important to you, do they consider figuring out a way to pay these players in a different way? Because that's the compensation, right? In the CHL, it's like, I need my school package to be X, Y, or Z, or whatever. Is this a conversation that over the next 5 years, we start to hear, well, we're going to have to pay them. Because here's the deal. From what we hear, Penn State's monetary offer was in the neighborhood of $700,000. Michigan State's was $200,000 to $300,000.
And Michigan State got Caden Lidstrom, who was his teammate, who is a Columbus prospect. He went to Michigan State because that was they had a giant offer too. So he's going there to play.
And remember, Hockey Canada spurned a couple players, and I forget who it was, last year in their shitty selection process for that team. They were pissed at some guys that went to the NCAA instead of staying in the CHL. I forget who it was.
Andrew Crystal? No, not Andrew Crystal.
There was a couple of guys who did not get. I forget not making the team. They didn't get a camp invite.
Yeah, no, I know exactly who you're talking about.
So
I forget.
Thankfully, Hockey Canada is not going to be able to avoid that with McKenna now. They're going to have to suck it up. Thank God, those absolute morons. Sometimes, I swear to God,
I know.
It's there needs to be a documentary made on that team and how friggin' stupid that was. But
I think it was televised. It was
every
right. game.
It was all over TSN all Christmas.
Boy, they stunk.
But I do think. Okay, so maybe the new pipeline is, if you're really good, you get a massive NIL deal with the NCAA, name and likeness, and if you're very good, you stay with the CHL for an extra year, and then you get drafted. But I like, there's not going to be 40 Gavin McKennas every year. There's going to be 3 or 4.
I'll tell you the moment the CHL decides something needs to be done about this, when the London Knights lose a guy.
Oh, okay. Why do you say that? For people that don't know,
I don't know. It's just a hunch. Nothing funny ever goes on with that team.
They keep winning. Steve. They get such a winning pedigree. How did they get Mitch Marner so late in the first round? I wonder.
You want to be part of a winning program. It's all it is. And same with him. And Max Domi, who was supposed to go to Kingston.
Christian Dvorak.
It's just people want to be part of a winning culture. and Patrick Kane was super stoked on the London
Corey
Knights.
Perry.
An American is like, no. I know I have an offer from probably every school. I'm going to London.
Can I just say too, like, it's the CHL's got to up their game in some way, because the lifestyle for these guys going to the NCAA is so infinitely better than sticking around the CHL. Like, you're thinking about a kid who's got to go play in Medicine Hat. No offense to Medicine Hat, anybody out there.
Well, and it's like double the games.
Oh, for the CHL?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Versus
it's more
University.
games, but like you're going to Medicine Hat, you got to stay with like a billet family, you know, and you're living out there,
You're living in a
traveling
basement.
everywhere.
Yeah.
You're on a bus.
Or you go to the States, you get to play at like ASU. You get to
Penn
live.
State,
you get
Michigan
to
State.
live. You get to live in Arizona, who has
Boston
one of the
College.
best amateur hockey facilities in the whole NCAA. You get to be on a campus with a bunch of your peers, living your life, hanging out in dorms, living that kind of life, traveling in the NCAA where you can get exposure in the States. And then on top of that, you get $700,000 American. I think
Which is $1 million Canadian
the
dollars.
CHL needs to do something here because we're comparing the two, and it's not close for me. I know what I'm doing if I'm Caden Lindstrom or Gavin McKenna.
Yeah.
I know where I'm going. So I feel like in the next couple of years, to retain these top prospects, they need to up their game. There are so many hockey players. There's going to be a CHL forever. Like there's enough guys to fill out these rosters. But these top guys, more and more, this
Do
is
you
going to
think
happen.
that that's important to them? Do you just yield that point and go, we're going to lose our top 5 guys every year? And that's just what it is.
That's what they might concede. Like they might be like, we're no longer the star-making league for the guys who are past the or still not eligible to be drafted and reach the AHL and whatever. That little gap you have, that 1 year, that's no longer our role. We're the pre-drafting years, the you can make it to the NCAA years, and that's how we'll keep our core.
And they had, what did they have? 21 of the first 32 picks from the CHL. Like, it's not like, again, if 5 guys leave, Caden Lindstrom, Gavin McKenna, it's not like they're not going to have 3/4 of the first round lockdown from the CHL anyway. And by the way, Gavin McKenna still played in the CHL. The reason he is getting this offer, well, he's also outrageously good, is that he played in the CHL. Teams were like, damn, that guy is really good in the CHL. Imagine what he might be in the NCAA.
So like another name you throw out there is like Malcolm Spence.
Yep.
Somebody who we covered in the draft. We're like, oh, Malcolm Spence, CHL draft pick.
Yeah.
Awesome. Going to, who did he go to? Fucking.
Oh my God.
I'll look it up.
Adam's got it.
I forget. Anyway, so
One of the
Calgary,
teams.
right? Calgary.
One of the teams.
I think he went to Calgary.
I don't know.
So Malcolm Spence next year is going to the NCAA.
New York Rangers,
Oh, he went to the Rangers. My bad.
43rd.
Going to the NCAA. Like he's done the CHL, and I feel like that is going to be the common pipeline now. You know, the CHL builds up these players, they get drafted, they go down the NCAA, maybe play a couple years, 1 or 2 years,
And
that's probably what they're happy with.
Maybe you see those, because it's always exciting when you hear about a guy, well, you see a 15-year-old, he got the exemption.
Right.
Maybe you see a few more of those. And maybe that's good.
So here's where it'll get weird for me is if like McKenna, instead of playing in the CHL this past year, as a 16-year-old is playing in college. Like I feel like there's got to be certain rules against.
Well, no,
that.
you got to be 18.
Yeah, you can't do
Well,
that.
he's,
have to go to
he's
school.
not going to be 18 till December.
Yeah, but he's
he's-
of that. He's of.
Well, I don't
the
know
age-
what's the cutoff.
It's an
I don't know
age-
what the
but, like,
cutoff.
It's can he
going to
apply for school?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the cutoff.
I'm old now. I
know.
forget what the cutoff.
You do
is.
know.
Like
We were.
I'm old now. I
We were
forget.
born in the spring.
Oh, my
but people.
Yeah,
in
I
our
was born in
year-
the spring.
If-
Wasn't everyone?
No, people who were born in July through December.
There were
were
people
still
who had
allowed
a
to go to
different
university
experience than
with
I.
us.
That's silly. That doesn't make any
So you
sense.
made a mistake. Move on.
Yeah.
No, I 100%. I just didn't know.
I have a hard time believing, like, usually the most boring outcome is the one that happens. And I think we're having people like, this is a seismic change. Yeah, for the guys at the top.
Yes.
It is seismic for the guys at the top. I am not doubting that. But I also am like, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the CHL is screwed.
Well-
You know who is screwed? The BCHL. I think they're in trouble. I think that the WHL, the OHL specifically, and the Q are going to be just fine.
Right. So it used to be you do junior A because you cannot do major junior.
Yes.
In order to get to university. That's no longer the case.
Yes.
Right. But I don't know how many
I also
junior A players the CHL was losing every year. Mm-hmm. But now they don't have to lose them, I guess.
I also believe that we're seeing a bit of a culture shift in sports generally. Like you see, we so often look at what the States are doing and we sort of copy it up here. And I look at some of these NCAA teams that are not in hockey, right? I look at, the football programs, the baseball programs, the basketball programs. And I look at the CHL and I go, why can't it be like that? Because a lot of these university cities that is all that's going on. Like my family all went to university within about 20 miles. My mom was University of Idaho. The rest of my family went to Washington State. They are literally across the state line in 20 minutes from each other. And Washington State in that area, those two universities in that area, like they carry the town. Most people work at that, right? That's what they do. And I look at the hockey programs in these small towns in Ontario and all across the country, east and west, and I go, okay, maybe you're not a university town, but you have the opportunity here to become the central focus of the dialogue in that town, to be a major part of the city center. In most cases, they already are, but some teams need a little work on that. And I feel like there's an opportunity for the CHL to become like an NCAA in the sense that the town lives and breathes the Sudbury Wolves, the London Knights, Victoriaville.
London is a Knights town.
It is a Knights town, 100%, and it's also a university town.
Yes.
And they're separate. My point is, I think that the CHL with younger leadership is moving in that direction. I think, like, I've had the chance to talk to some of these guys, the new hires that they have, and directly. And they are energetic and exciting and whatever. And no disrespect to like the David Branch era of the OHL, but David Branch had been there for 40 years. It was time for some new ideas.
An extraordinarily long time.
And yeah, and that's amazing and impressive. But let's not pretend that the league moved with the times. It didn't. But now it seems to be. And I'm sort of excited for that. I do think the CHL's got a lot of opportunity here that maybe they don't even realize.
Right. The only pushback there is just the population base that comes with the American cities and these schools. Penn State, I just want to check the number. They have 89,000 students.
Which would put you
Holy shit!
No, just the student population alone would put you in like the top 50 cities in Canada.
Right.
It's like nearly as big as Pickering.
Yeah.
And that's everybody, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking like postgrads, undergrads, online people, like
whatever.
But like still, that's the amount of people who are registered to that university.
89,000?
We're talking 90,000 people. So that's
nuts.
your starting point for creating a community around the hockey team.
Yes.
And with these teams in the CHL, like we got towns of like tens of thousands.
Yeah, well,
right?
Barrie, I just looked up, for instance, Jess, to back your point.
Yeah.
Here are three
Barrie's
towns.
probably one of the
Here are three towns that are OHL towns. And in order to service 90,000 people at a school, you need to have a community of grocery stores and laundromats and all that shit. Okay. Barrie's population is 157,000. Guelph's population is 149,000. Sudbury, Greater Sudbury, not just Sudbury Central, Greater Sudbury, because beyond Greater Sudbury, there ain't much. Okay. 171,000.
Okay.
So Jesse makes a really good point. The population scale to us is different. And I'm not saying we're going to be like, the CHL can be like when the Pat McAfee ESPN crew shows up and there's 10,000 people out back.
Game day.
But it could be 1,000, could be 3,000.
How many?
Hardcore?
What percentage of CHL markets are larger than 89,000 people?
I don't know.
Well, let's not do that live on the air.
No, not live on the air.
Well, teams the CHL.
I'm gonna go with less than half.
Right. So it's hard for the CHL to compete when you're competing against these giant NCAA schools to create that environment, but they should be trying to do it on a lesser scale.
Money-wise, you
do
can't.
it equivalent to 100,000 people as opposed to all the people in Pennsylvania you're competing with.
Money-wise, you can never compete. Passion-wise, you can.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't understand why they couldn't also enact a name, image, likeness deal for these players. Like, why not have like these players have the ability to sign name, image, likeness deals and have like the London Knights come with some sort of package from Bauer and be like, hey, if you come to London Knights, we can get you $500,000 from Bauer. Like, why can't they do that sort of things and move into that direction if that's how the NCAA is stealing these kids?
Jesse, that's never happened.
Like, do it on the level.
I also have a question, and this is so stupid, but we're later in the podcast, so I feel like I can say it without being beat up. Why do we have a difference between CIS and CHL?
Motherfucker! No, sorry. You said you were safe.
Like, especially for you look at the Ryerson hockey team or something like that.
Yes.
Why can't we involve our universities in the CHL?
I think it is.
Is it H?
Like they're at the CHL.
Oh, they're older.
You're starting the kids at 15, 16, 17,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
and like you want
right.
those young prospects in there. And when you get to the university level here, it's just all of that. It's just everybody 18 plus, you know?
Guys who aged out of the O.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is. And we haven't created that culture around sport where we're getting the top prospects to all compete in there because it's just not how it works. But I wish it did. Like, I wish the TMU was the Penn State of up here for a hockey team.
TMU has a unique advantage because of the sports broadcasting program, right? So they make the hockey teams a very big deal.
Yeah.
But stars would certainly help. They did have a unique situation where they had someone who I want to say was a second-round pick of the Coyotes because something weird happened. But
Oh, no way.
yeah, oh man, what was his freaking name? Was it Duda? Artem Duda? I can't remember.
It's a shame we don't have the same university sports culture.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Yeah.
We've done nothing to build it.
Yeah.
The American universities were like, hey, there's a lot of money to be made in youth sports. Maybe we should invest in that. Canadian universities are like, we're not interested. And there are some drawbacks to it, but I do think we could have put a little more effort in. And you're seeing that now. When we went to Ryerson, when it was called that, there was fucking nothing. The hockey team hadn't won in years.
The hockey team didn't play at Ryerson.
No, it didn't. It played like North
U of
Toronto.
T.
Yeah. And now they've got gyms and they've got their own rink and they're winning games and championships and whatever. And like, it takes some investment. The one team that always invested, I think Carleton was one, Western always invested in their sports. And the Mustangs.
Yeah,
football
Western's got a cool football thing going on.
That whole kind of area.
People care about that.
Laurier too.
Yeah. Well,
Waterloo.
Carleton, up in Ottawa, like their basketball program for a long time, well, still to this day, is like top notch. And like they competed against a couple American teams. Like they'll bring them in or go down there every time. And again, you could see that challenge like head to head. So like there is that aspect of it, but it's so few and far between.
Yeah.
You know, it's
It
not
would
like
be
we
cool.
have 20 Carletons.
If the NCAA didn't suck, it would be cool to have like a Canadian division that got to enter into those things. But the NCAA notoriously sucks.
Yeah.
And then you're giving all that control over to them, right? So anyway.
I wish Logan Thompson wasn't like a once in a generation thing.
What's his story?
Dude plays Canadian University and then goes on to make the NHL. Like the number of guys who do that,
Small.
Where did he play?
thanks for that one.
I thought you were like gonna tell us the Logan Thompson story.
Yeah.
Because he played Canadian University and then he made the NHL. It's very rare.
Oh my goodness.
The list of guys, it's like him and Steve.
Logan
Bruce.
Thompson, born in Calgary, Alberta, played for the Brandon Wheat Kings in English of the WHL. Then went to Brock University in 1819. And then went to the ECHL, and then the ACHL, can't even speak today, ECHL, then the NHL of the Vegas Golden Knights. There you go.
It's rare. It's very rare, man.
WEAEN. Fun.
That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah. Steve, you're right about Artem Duda. Oh, what did you say, Maddie?
You're right about Artem Duda.
Hell yeah.
He was picked 36 overall, though, by the Arizona Coyotes, 2022 draft.
Nearly a first round pick. He played at Ryerson.
What's he doing now?
I think he's with Tucson
Hey, okay.
of the AHL.
Yeah, no, he's still, I'm glad
I don't
he's
know.
still in.
I don't know why he ended up there. I forget. Like in Ryerson.
Oh, how he
TMU.
got to
Yeah.
TMU. Yeah.
Do we want to do press conference?
Sure, I'll ask a couple questions.
All right, cool.
The Presser. SDP. The Steve Dangle Press Conference.
All right. Let me just pull up the questions. Here, this is related to the conversation we were having earlier about the Montreal Canadiens. This is from Jason McDonald. Do you think the Habs are going to move up further in the East? I asked about last season, and you guys shot me down and said they wouldn't make the playoffs, Jesse. Enjoy your summer, fellas. That's from Jason. Yeah, I didn't think the Habs were going to make the playoffs last year. I'm sorry. I thought they were on the upswing. I thought they'd be one of the best teams in the Atlantic. It's competing, but I think they'd fall short of the playoffs. And it took the Boston Bruins falling off a cliff, the New York Rangers falling off a cliff, the New York Islanders not being able to squeeze a spot, the Columbus Blue Jackets being in a playoff spot, and then failing towards the end for the Montreal Canadiens to then make the playoffs. So I don't think it was
you're gonna get
totally locked in that they were a playoff
Habs
team.
Reddit, you're screwed.
I'm sorry. But I don't know. I think they're a playoff team again.
Habs fans are so interesting because like they love the team so much. And I remember Steve, there was a clip of Steve that went viral, and all he said was, "I'm looking for the Habs to take a step forward this year."
I still don't understand.
And they
what
were
everyone's problem
pissed.
was.
And then they had the shittiest first 3 months. And then came in and did nab that playoff spot. You're right, Jesse. But like we have to remember the Habs season last year was 2 different seasons.
Everyone was upset when they made the playoffs. I said they needed to take a step, and the feedback was, no, they don't. And when they made the playoffs, it's like, oh, you ruined everything. I still don't understand what I did wrong.
So Jesse, you're in trouble. Habs Reddit's coming for you.
What?
Man.
In trouble for what?
Well, for saying that but what you just said.
I said they made the playoffs because of those circumstances.
What?
But they did do it. Like I'm not like I don't understand what.
No, they didn't.
It is when we talk about the Habs, Jesse. I think you make a good point. It is like the first 3 months didn't happen, and they did.
I think the Habs did a great job nabbing that last playoff.
They did.
I don't think I said anything controversial.
Moving up is going to be hard. I mean, like, okay, to move up, you would need to no longer be a wild card team. Okay, so are you going to pass the Panthers? No. Are you going to pass the Lightning? Probably not. Are you going to pass the Leafs? I don't even really think you're there yet. Like, maybe. Leafs are probably going to take maybe a bit of a step back in the regular season.
They did win the division. I know that
They won the damn division.
I know nobody cares, but they did win.
I know. And like
Super irrelevant.
Bruins won't be. I don't think the Bruins will be nearly as bad. They'll be.
All they need is Swayman to be his career average, and they're going to be in the playoff hunt.
Yeah, in the hunt. And like Detroit will probably be in the hunt-ish.
No.
And then there's Buffalo.
I think like circumstances repeating themselves in the East. I don't know if they're going to repeat themselves in the East, but I can see the Habs being a little better. Like I can see the Habs being more like how Ottawa was last year. Maybe the Sens taking a step back because I think the Habs have a brighter young core than the Sens do. So like I don't know. I think the Habs are in a good position to make the playoffs as a 7 or 8 seed again. I don't know. Yeah, moving up I think it's hard, but I think they'll be right in and around where they were last year.
Just because you got better doesn't mean you're moving up.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I think like all those 4 teams that were right in there last year, I feel like they're all gonna gain a little back, and maybe Columbus as the one team I'm probably gonna not count on being a little better or anything. But I think the Rangers and the Islanders too probably take a step back. So maybe just the Rangers and Bruins, but like they're gonna claw back some of those points. So the Habs might be better, but like I think the Rangers and Bruins will be kind of where they were last year, but maybe a little better. So it'll be hard. It's going to be a hard season for the Habs.
But exciting.
Yes.
Exciting.
No, I think it'll be boring.
Wait.
What does it need to be? And I'm going to say it's the opposite. They don't need to take a step forward. They don't. They don't. It's not necessary.
Next one, Jesse. What do you got, buddy?
This is from Harry and Mosa. Is Toronto in danger of missing the playoffs now that Austin Matthews lost his number 1 assistant?
They made
Will
the playoffs.
he struggle to score without Marner?
They made the playoffs before they were line mates. No. I think they'll make it.
Is there any chance Toronto's not a playoff team and we see something like with the Rangers and Bruins that happened last year, or even Vancouver?
It's totally possible.
Absolutely, it's possible.
Of course. I mean, I think with both organizations, you had a toxic locker room, right? That screwed up the Canucks, and it screwed up the Rangers.
Boston?
For a variety of reasons. Well, Boston, just everyone got hurt. Like, you lost your whole time.
You also were dumb enough to just be like, well, we can't give Swayman that much.
Yeah, no,
you intentionally effed your goalie.
That's the Bruins where bad luck meets dumb decisions, and they create a shit hurricane.
Yeah,
that makes your.
I think the Rangers are that too. So much of what the Rangers and Bruins did last year, they did to themselves.
Yeah.
It's like again, the Lindholm thing didn't work in Boston I'm not convinced it will.
Yeah, letting the JT Miller the Jacob Trouba situation, I think, play out in the way it did from like end of July when they first started talking to him.
My God.
And we're like, hey, Captain, so we're going to trade you.
Hey, fuck off.
And then they didn't do it for like literally 7 months.
Barclay, great series.
Like it was
Trouba, great series.
But it was that, but then they held on to him for 6 months.
Yeah, I know.
And like doing that was such a mismanagement of a person that they created this toxic locker room themselves. Like I think it's such a great point that like all of this was kind of their own doings as organizations.
Yeah.
I think the other thing with the Bruins is like had they been patient last year, this is why I was saying the Leafs need to be patient. Were the Canucks trading JT Miller last summer? After winning the division and going to the second round, 7 games against the Oilers?
It didn't sound like it.
Right. If the Bruins had waited and not signed Lindholm to that crazy-ass deal, because that's a crazy-ass deal, dude. He got, what do you have, like 18 goals? That's a crazy fucking deal. If they had just waited and waited for something to happen and JT Miller's available, is he not a perfect Bruin?
Oh, man.
I've never met a better Bruin who will never be a Bruin. He's perfect. And
like
they could have had him.
Torts never coached the Bruins.
No. Yeah.
And he's a masshole.
You're right.
That's wrong.
It's wrong.
It's totally wrong.
So I feel like that's part of it too, is the Bruins were just they were too jumpy on certain things. And we got to do this now. And, you could have, then Marchand is still there.
I got to tell you, my heart's broken about it.
Yeah. Anything else, Jess?
We got a question from Alan. Alan writes, does Crosby ever play another playoff game?
Oh, God.
And that's good for the Penguins and the sport.
What?
That's the segment.
Sorry, Jesse. Did you think that was a weird thing to say? Is that a weird take to have?
That
the best player of his generation should never play a meaningful game. For
I think Sidney Crosby is on the Pittsburgh Penguins until he retires.
Can I just
I don't know if you have to be all mean and sarcastic about it.
Can I just hold that?
Yeah, you do.
Can we not do this right now? And the reason I ask is I have a whole segment prepared, but we ran out of time.
Why don't we talk about it?
Well, because we're running out of time.
I don't think Sidney Crosby playing on the Pittsburgh Penguins until he retires is a bad thing.
This is a good discussion. I think could be like 20 minutes. This is my point.
So you're saving it.
I'm saving it. I'm asking you guys to save it. That's all I'm saying. Can you do that for me?
More like Josh, he's going to beat our ass if we talk about this next episode.
Jesse, anything else?
AC says, what is one word you will never be able to spell correctly no matter how many times you try?
You know what I've struggled with my entire life? Definitely.
Oh,
that's a hard one.
A weird one.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Massachusetts. Can't spell it.
What do you spell?
Massachusetts. I can't spell it. It's a place.
Yeah, but that's not a common.
I can't spell it.
I think you're missing the point of the question.
Oh,
definitely.
Okay, receive. I struggle with the I and the E. Receive.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
All right, Adam.
Okay, give it to me.
Gun to your head or you die.
Oh man.
You have 5 seconds. Spell receive.
RECEIVE.
I don't even know if that's right.
I don't know either.
No, I'm stupid.
RECEIVE. I got it.
Hey!
Man, it messes me up every time. And I know the rule, I before E except after C. It's not always true. It's not a friggin' rule.
It's not a rule.
It's actually not a rule.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Receive, I struggle with. There's a few other ones. Definitely is one.
Definitely.
Jess, you have one?
English is so stupid.
English is so dumb.
There's so many exceptions to English. It doesn't like English is. I think they say English is one of the hardest language to learn.
Yes,
because of all of the things that break the rules, all of the exceptions that they have in English. So
it's because
it's silly language.
It's also like England was invaded by the Romans, and then invaded by the Northern Germans, and then invaded by the French. And so, like every other normal language has 50,000 words. English has 250,000.
What?
Yeah, it's insane.
And
like
we
normal European.
We have too many letters. Also,
way too many.
Mm-hmm.
Italian has 4 fewer letters.
Yeah.
Oh.
They cut
what
to the
are
chase. I don't friggin' care, man.
I don't
know.
There's no X in Italian.
There's no X. There's one.
Okay. I imagine the vowels made it.
Depends who you ask.
Okay, there's no Y.
There's no Y.
Because it's IE, right?
Uh-huh.
Grazie.
Or I.
Let me think here. There is a Z.
Oh, there's a Z. Oh, we use the shit out of the Z.
More than most languages, I would say.
English doesn't like the Z.
No, it doesn't. Oh, man.
Welcome to the summer episodes, kids.
This is tough. I know there's C's. I don't know if there's K's. Is there a K?
There is no K.
Ah,
so there we go.
Hey, we got it. That's cool. All right. All right. So
Can you spell weird?
WEIRD.
Now, go back to the little exception we were talking about.
I before E, except after
C
I'm
sometimes.
honestly starting to think there's more words with EI than IE.
Where is the C in weird?
What?
There is none.
But it's WEI.
But it's EI.
Oh.
No shit.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
Isn't that what the fuck is that? Like, it's spelled EI, but there's no C.
I don't freaking
But
get
so
it.
the I doesn't go before the E, or does it not?
Yeah, dude. And funny that the word is weird, too.
Stupid.
It's a
Isn't that
stupid
weird?
language.
That's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's a dumb language.
Well, why do they teach that in schools?
Like,
you imagine,
do they?
Imagine they taught you the alphabet, and then they were like, yeah, but sometimes the alphabet doesn't go in that order.
Adam,
They make you sing the alphabet song. They're like, actually, though, sometimes Z is first.
do you know the new alphabet song?
No, I hate it. Shut up. No.
We've done this on the show.
No,
Yes.
I hate it.
Yeah,
And
we
it's
played
the old
it.
alphabet song forever.
Yeah.
Right? Forever.
The Wokabet.
Yeah, you bet. The Wokabet. All right, are we?
There's also we could do English exceptions all day. Irregular plurals. English will just make a new word for a plural instead of just adding an S. So like some microphones, right? That's plural.
Yeah.
Teeth. Tooth.
Yeah.
Why did we make a whole nother word for multiple teeth or multiple tooths? But laptops,
Goose
we
geese?
add an S.
Goose geese?
Yeah, no, there's a million of
I
them.
will say-
they decided at some point we're gonna make words for multiples instead of just doing this plural thing. But some words were too lazy to make plurals, so we're just gonna add an S.
Learning French is
Fucking
making me
stupid.
feel like an idiot. An idiot.
Why?
Because if you say I do something, the word is going to be different for you do something, and it's going to be different for he does something and she does something and we do something and
'Cause they gender
you plural do something. Which we don't have a you plural, which is kind of stupid, and maybe they get it
Well,
right.
unless
But then there's
unless it's you people, which gets people fired.
oh yes, there is that. Oh, we understood the plural there.
Yeah.
They male, they female. It's very annoying,
It is.
and it makes me feel stupid. I don't like it.
I like it too. I like it very much. We're saving that Pittsburgh segment though. I want to come back to this.
Nope.
I have strong opinions, but I'm holding back.
Regular season God.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.